Elijah flinched, the hot Starbucks latte slipping from his grasp and splattering onto the immaculate polished kitchen floor. The ceramic mug broke apart, its pieces scattering across the hardwood floor, reminiscent of lives disrupted and families torn apart in the chaos of conflict. The noise, harsh, jarring, and completely unwelcome, felt like it intensified the shaking that had taken hold of his hands. He knelt, a sharp gasp escaping his lips as a shard of porcelain dug into the soft flesh of his index finger. The small wound glistened with blood, yet the sharp pain was trivial when weighed against the heavy, persistent ache that had taken up residence in his heart. An unwelcome companion that felt as if it would never leave. 3 long years. 3 years filled with pain and turmoil. 3 years had passed since the ground beneath his family shifted, creating a deep rift that loomed, ready to consume everything in its path. What began as a simple chat quickly spiraled into something far more profound, an unexpected truth that shattered the delicate balance of his life, leaving him reeling in its wake. Sarah sat at the kitchen table, her posture tense, illuminated by the harsh, unfeeling light of her laptop screen. The digital light highlighted the delicate lines around her eyes, the darkened hollows beneath them revealing the toll of countless hours spent on her remote work. She was a brilliant coder, a master of algorithms and debugging, yet even her keen mind struggled to unravel the tangled web of emotions that had woven itself into the fabric of their lives. She toiled at a tech company nestled in the sun-drenched valleys of California, a stark contrast to the crisp autumn air that enveloped her hometown in Connecticut. The late-night video conferences, an unavoidable aspect of their interconnected lives, had turned into a persistent source of tension, robbing them of precious moments in an already fragile relationship. "Are you all right?" Elijah asked, his voice a fragile murmur revealing the storm of emotions swirling inside him. He was acutely aware of his pallor, a ghostly hue that spoke of sleepless nights and unspoken fears. The memories wrapped around him like a heavy fog, sapping the vibrancy from his cheeks, reducing him to a mere shadow of the person he used to be. Sarah's gaze shot up, her brown eyes filled with worry. "Yeah, I'm just finishing up a really tough meeting." A subtle coding error nearly impossible to spot. She rubbed her temples, a weary gesture that conveyed a deep sense of exhaustion and unspoken burdens. "And what about you? Your expression tells me something's weighing heavily on your mind. Did you receive another call from her?" The name lingered in the silence, a weight that pressed down on everyone, as if a tempest was brewing just beneath the surface. "It's worse," Elijah murmured, his eyes locked on the darkening pool of coffee seeping into the floorboards. "A message. She's hoping we'll join her for Thanksgiving." The atmosphere in the kitchen grew dense, wrapping around them like a weight they couldn't escape. Sarah's expression shifted, the gentle traces of empathy giving way to a determined intensity. Thanksgiving? As in enduring long hours packed into her home, compelled to engage in polite exchanges with... Her silence spoke volumes. They both understood exactly who she was referring to. Richard, the man who had come to embody the deepest wounds of betrayal, the heavy weight of deceit, and the heartache of shattered trust. Richard, the man who was once Carol's fiancé, carries the weight of a conviction for rape from 3 years prior. The man, recently freed from prison just before the holidays, cast a long shadow over their family, a haunting presence that stirred deep emotions and unresolved tensions. "She understands my feelings," Elijah pressed on, his voice thick with frustration. "She understands how difficult it is for me to even imagine sharing the same space with him, particularly when the kids are around. Still, she presses on, undeterred. She won't stop saying that I'm being unreasonable, that I'm forming opinions about him without allowing him the opportunity to prove himself." "Is there really a chance?" Sarah let out a derisive laugh, disbelief evident in her tone. "He was found guilty, Elijah. He paid his dues. How much more of an opportunity does she expect you to offer him? Is she genuinely asking you to let go of it all?" "But what if?" "What if?" There's a hint of reality in her words, Elijah replied, his voice a whisper, laden with unspoken feelings. "What if he truly didn't do it? What if I'm really messing things up, pushing my family away for no good reason? Sarah gripped his hand with a sense of urgency, her emotions swirling beneath the surface. You really aren't. You're doing the right thing. You're taking the steps that any caring parent would take. You're doing everything you can to shield your children from harm, and that's what truly counts. Elijah yearned to trust her, to hold on to the steadfast conviction she exuded, yet the doubts remained, subtle yet persistent murmurs in the depths of his thoughts, eroding his determination. His family labeled him as stubborn and judgmental, convinced he was unwilling to give Richard a fair chance. They claimed he was allowing his own beliefs to disrupt the harmony of the family. They just don't get it, Elijah murmured, his voice heavy with feeling. They can't grasp the weight of this unending fear, the relentless anxiety that eats away at me. They can't grasp the heavy burden I carry, the constant worry that shadows my every decision to protect my children. Sarah enveloped him in a warm embrace, holding him tightly as if to shield him from the world outside. I understand, she replied gently, her tone warm and reassuring. You don't have to bear this weight by yourself. I'm right here, ready to support you. We're all in this together. Elijah shut his eyes, pressing his face into her hair, finding solace in the warmth of her presence. He felt the weight of her words, a truth he couldn't escape. He felt the weight of his family's expectations pressing down on him, but he knew he had to stand firm in his convictions. He knew he had to hold firm, even if it meant risking the bond he shared with his mother. He stepped back from Sarah, his gaze sharpening with a newfound resolve. I have to reach out to her, he said, his voice steady but laced with an undercurrent of urgency. I have to be honest and say that we won't be attending, and I can't allow her to pressure me like this any longer. Sarah's eyes softened as she nodded, a quiet understanding passing between them. You know what you need to do, she said, her voice brimming with understanding. Elijah grasped his phone, a subtle tremor in his fingers as he began to type. He understood that this message marked a pivotal moment, a bold step towards freeing himself from the emotional entanglements that had long defined his family ties. Mom, I hate to say this, but we won't be able to make it for Thanksgiving. I care for you deeply, but being in the same space as Richard is just too much for me to handle. I just can't put my children through that. I must keep them safe. I really need you to understand and honor that. I can't keep going back and forth on this anymore. I've made the difficult choice to step away from our relationship and the family for now. I need you to understand and respect my decision. He pressed send, his heart racing with a mix of hope and dread. He had gone too far, severing ties that could never be mended. There was no turning back at this point. The reaction came swiftly, a flood of furious messages and calls from his mother, his siblings, and even his aunts and uncles. He was labeled as selfish, unreasonable, and unforgiving, leaving him to grapple with the weight of their words. They claimed he was ripping the family to shreds. Elijah turned away from them, his determination solidifying with every message that flashed on his screen. He understood that his choice was just, despite the storm of anger it would unleash upon him. He switched off his phone, shutting out the relentless chorus of voices clamoring for his focus. He gazed at Sarah, his eyes reflecting a deep blend of anxiety and resolve. It's over, he murmured, his tone steady, yet heavy with unspoken weight. Sarah smiled, her expression tinged with a bittersweet understanding. She felt the gravity of his choice, the deep sacrifices he was enduring. We'll be okay, she said, her voice trembling with warmth and a deep-seated hope. We have one another. And there are our children. That's all that truly matters. Elijah wrapped his arms around her, drawing her in with a firm embrace. He understood that their lives had irrevocably changed, overshadowed by a deep feeling of grief and solitude, yet he understood that they were forging a deeper bond, one rooted in trust, respect, and an unshakable love for their children. Yet a persistent question tugged at his heart, refusing to let go. Was he rushing to conclusions too soon? Was he willing to put his family on the line for a belief that could be nothing more than an illusion? He understood the danger that lay ahead. He understood that eventually, in some manner, the decisions he made would shape who he was. Have you ever found yourself torn between the bonds of family and the weight of your own convictions? What do you believe Elijah's next step should be? What would you do in this circumstance? Open up about your experiences, your understanding, and your viewpoints with those around you. We are here to foster a space where we can confront difficult choices like this together. We invite you to connect with us, share your thoughts, join our community, and immerse yourself in stories that resonate and uplift. Your engagement means the world to us.